why are these elves so fucking tacky? Like,
Listen,
why
I
are
have so
they
many
so
complaints about the
tacky?
elves.
The TV elves, they got these blow dry hairdos. Like, what the fuck with these tacky ass elves? They look like they shop at the mall, for fuck's sake, and that they hired Melania Trump to decorate their fucking world, man. Like, what the
Oh my
fuck?
gosh. Whoever made Gil-galad's hairpiece, I
Oh
just
my
want to
lord.
have a few personal words with. I just have a few questions. I also have a few questions about the people who decided to cast that actor. That actor is really good at acting. He's a very
Yes,
good actor. Do I
yes.
think he was an appropriate choice for Gil-galad? Absolutely not.
The casting is suspect all around. Let me
All
just say
around.
that. There are some great casting choices. I'm not
Absolutely.
familiar with all of the made up names. So is it Elondir, the black
The
elf
elf,
that lives in the
yeah, he
south?
was
Great
fantastic.
casting. Great
Yeah.
casting with this guy. Yeah, Gil-galad, like I think this guy looks like he'd be better suited on an episode of The Love Boat in the 1970s, right? Like,
I'm just saying that Peter Jackson took Hugo Weaving, who was a man who was like a man of man age,
yep,
and that man looked ethereal.
yes,
He looked like descended from the stars himself. And so it's just like you can do it when
yes,
you cast the right people.
yes. I'm sorry, but you got to cast people that look a little weird, like they look like elves or like they're pixies or they have like what are they fae
Yeah,
features,
yeah.
like they look
Get
like the
that
fae
Anya
people.
Taylor-Joy girl with the eyes that are just like a little too far apart. Great elf. Perfect.
Yeah, and this Hugo actor was great because
Mhm.
he's a little odd looking, right?
So weird.
And very attractive at the same time. And so I
Yes.
think maybe this is just my surface personality coming out, and maybe I need to grow up. But I think the elves
I
should be
know.
beautiful. Like, come on. And Alandir is beautiful.
He was gorgeous. That's what I'm saying. Like they
Right.
just they nailed it in so many aspects, and I just feel like they dropped the ball a little bit on the elves. It felt
How
tacky. I
about
think they nailed it.
let me ask the big one, Galadriel. What do you think of the casting with Galadriel?
I love her.
Okay.
I love I love her. And like it took me a minute to get there. It took me a few episodes to get there because at first it's like, because I mean, obviously, of course, for me, you compare it to Kate Blanchett. You're
You
thinking of
can't
Peter
not
Jackson's Galadriel,
you can't not do
who
that now.
was the creme de la creme of that
Perfect.
entire trilogy.
Perfect
Just
casting.
perfect. And so this girl, obviously we're coming in. I mean, also, side note, where the fuck was Celeborn? Like,
Yeah.
where was Celeborn?
That's got to
Um,
be some sort of big secret reveal that he is alive,
yeah,
and there's got to be something to it. They can't just X him out of the story. He's hugely important, and he's alive
and he's in the
in
third
the third
age.
age. So yeah, like
Like he's
that
literally
seems so obvious. Like, we're not, like, there are people who are detectives, with this
I
show,
know,
like
right?
who is Sauron, being the
Mhm.
big one. And hi, that was super obvious from the beginning. I had that figured out the second he was like, I'm very interested in metal works.
I know.
I was like,
I'm like,
okay,
"Oh."
yeah.
Also, he was, like, the cutest one, like, from a girl's standpoint, like, of
Okay.
Sauron was always described as, like,
Very
beautiful, just, like,
beautiful.
incredibly beautiful, and so if I'm looking at this cast and I know Sauron's one of them, and I'm looking, it's like, "Oh, obviously him, he's the cutest one here," other than the
Well,
elf who I know it's not.
I am so glad to hear that, because I was wondering, is anybody else finding this person incredibly attractive? Because I was not. In my head, I was calling him TV Aragorn, because
TV Aragorn.
he just looked like a scruffy version of the very beautiful Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn.
Incomparable,
Oh my God,
incomparable.
so gorgeous. And so I'm like, yeah, I hope that other people think he's beautiful, because if he's Sauron, he's supposed to be beautiful.
So, I will say I chose my words carefully. He is the cutest one out
Cute.
of those.
I noticed
Look.
the cute, not beautiful, cutest out of those. Yeah, I heard it all. Yeah.
But,
But I
like,
still appreciate that you were able to use that to deduce.
deductive reasoning,
Yeah, he
like,
was
very
cute.
good at pattern recognition here with this, and it's just like, I don't know. I first of all, I wanted elf form Sauron. Part of
Me
me really
too.
wanted like the stunning, give me like androgynous,
Yes,
beautiful
yes.
Sauron, you know?
I when they were showing like the bits and bobs and the little snippets before they
Mhm.
released it, I was really hoping that the really crazy, creepy looking cult member with the
Oh, the Slim
M and
Shady one?
everybody called her, yes, Eminem. I was hoping that was Sauron. Like I was
I
like,
would have been
ooh,
happier.
perfect Sauron.
I could
Yeah,
have been like vibing with that a little bit, you
me
know, but
too. Yeah.
we make choices. It's
Yep.
okay.
And we are choosing to enjoy the show for what it
No matter
is.
what.
And here's my thoughts about the Galadriel casting. I too learned to love the casting with this character, this actress or actor as the character. And my only complaint, if it's even that, is and this I have kind of across the board for some of the other characters, she's too short. Like she is supposed to be quite regal,
Yeah.
and
No,
she's very petite.
intimidating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's petite. The actor is petite. So, and I'm petite. That's not a
Mhm.
complaint about people. But they shouldn't cast me as a Numenorian. They should cast me as a dwarf, right? Like,
Right. That's
and
what I'm
that's
saying.
yeah. And that's one of my other things about when I was a kid, I was so obsessed with the height differences between the
Yes,
hobbits, the dwarves, the elves,
me
the people, the
too.
giants. I drew charts and stuff,
I
and I
love
still
that.
do to this day. I draw charts of how tall the characters are in my imaginary world. But so the Numenorians are supposed to be close to 7 feet
Yeah.
tall. Some of them approaching
Well,
8 feet tall.
and Aragorn was supposed to like that was the thing is that I feel like and this is like another bone I have to pick, but with the Hobbit trilogy, which we obviously will have to go over at some point here because I don't think either of us mentioned it in our our
That's so funny. I was noticing
introduction.
the same thing. It got left out the conversation. It's not entirely shit. Let's just put
It's
it
not
that way.
entirely bad.
No.
It's not entirely bad, but I will say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that changed the ratio of hobbits to dwarves in the Hobbit trilogy from what it was in the original trilogy.
Huh.
And that has messed with me so much because if you watch the Hobbit trilogy, Bilbo Baggins is like he's like shoulder to Thorin Oakenshield. You know
Right.
what I mean? But when you watch the original trilogy, I feel like the dwarves and the hobbits, like in there, they're about this
Same
roughly the same size,
size. You're
just
right.
movie to movie. And
You are
so like
right.
that has bugged me since the first Hobbit movie came out.
I agree. I agree. I noticed that too, because the dwarves are supposed to be, they can be up to like 5.5 feet tall,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
the hobbits can be like 3.5 feet tall. So they can be very
right.
small. So yeah, having them be roughly the same size, that I'm telling you what, I nerded out about that as a kid. Made me upset in the movies as well. I was like, the dwarves should be a little taller. They should pretty much be as
Right.
tall as an average sized female human, you
Mhm.
know. And in the series, I feel like they're getting that a little bit
They
better.
finally did. I feel like I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is correct. Okay, we have found like a good golden ratio here of how tall these people are.
Yeah, I agree. Except for those Numenorians, which are too short in the TV series. They're just too average looking, like all scruffy and
They're
stuff.
not pretty enough. Like, I'm sorry that this is a complaint because it makes me feel shallow,
Me
but
too.
like they're not pretty enough. They're not pretty enough. I'm sorry. They're
Tolkien
not.
described them in a certain way as being like, I mean, Tolkien is full of questionable opinions about race and stuff like that itself. And he
It's
described them
true.
as pretty much being the Ubermensch of their time.
Yeah.
They were taller,
Yeah.
they were smarter, they were more athletic, they lived longer, they were more advanced in civilization. So like he was of a certain time when they really thought that, they had different thoughts.
Right.
I'm
They
not
had
trying to
different thoughts of a different time.
That's right. And we forgive him for that. But then we do want to see all of those things portrayed in the TV show. I do want to see the Numenorians be taller, stronger, live longer, smarter, more
Because
advanced.
that doesn't mean they have to be right. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like look at the elf boy who is very very handsome. Like I buy that shit. That man is ethereal. Yes. 10 out of 10. Very good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they can just find tall attractive people of any race.
Isn't Hollywood full of them? Isn't Hollywood just chock full, brimming over with tall, attractive people?
Of tall, attractive people. That's where all the
Holy
models are, right?
shit,
Like, I'm just
man.
like, I'm
Yeah.
confused. I'm confused.
And if they need another dwarf, I'm available. All right, Alex. Well, this has been super fun. We'll
Yeah.
we took the whole 40 minutes to do this. I'm a cheap ass. I have a free Zoom account. It limits me to 40 minutes per
Oh yeah.
meeting. And hey, if this podcast is fun and successful, I'll spring for a Zoom account.
For the
I'll pay
real
for
Zoom.
it. Yeah, and then we can podcast live for 3 hours while we
Love it.
watch the movies and stuff like that.
Just
And I
scene by scene reaction.
exactly. Oh, reaction videos on YouTube. Holy shit. I have no idea what the appeal of that is, but that's
I
again,
can't
I'm
do it.
very old. Very, very old. So thanks for letting me on your podcast.
Thanks for letting me on our podcast.
Oh, Alex, you're so awesome. I've been wanting to do a Tolkien podcast since I learned what podcasting was.
I have always said that if I could just have an outlet where all I do is talk about Tolkien, I would be the happiest person on earth.
This is our happy place.
This is it. We
All
made
right. Well, in the words of Tolkien, live long and prosper. Oh, wait.
it. You too, bud.
All right, man. Take it easy, Alex. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye, bud.